Hi and welcome to The Unconventionalists. I'm your host Mark Leruste, and today's guest is Seb Broster, an inspiring man who in 2013 was diagnosed with blood cancer, who through chemotherapy had gone up to 135 kilos, but thanks to his will and determination managed to drop back down to 87 kilos. That's almost the weight of a small child lost in less than 3 years. We talked about his journey, his battle and his aspirations, and what's next for Seb. Watch today's interview, and if you liked it, make sure to put a little thumbs up, a comment below, and share it with a friend. Seb,
Mark,
so good to have you on the show.
Cheers, thanks for inviting me on.
It's been a while that we've tried to schedule this in.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't recognize you. I mean, that's the first thing I've got to say. You know, I've been holding it since you got into the studio. Last time I saw you was 2013.
No, that was the first time you saw me.
Yeah, the first. Yeah.
Because I saw you when I saw you it was the last big event that Movember did. So
yes, the
2015.
launch. The launch of 2015. You're right, something like that. Yeah. No, so the first time I saw you, it was 2013. We met up for a coffee outside of Liverpool Street. You'd gone on the 7th of October 2013 to Movember's launch.
Yep.
You'd got donations by people kissing your bald head, and you were significantly bigger, significantly bolder, and you just, well, maybe you were going through, or you were going through chemo,
Yep.
and you were diagnosed earlier that year with blood cancer. Tell a bit more about what happened.
So, the blood cancer, the actual diagnosis story is really, really random. A good friend of mine from school. So when we were at school, we'd have a Kiwi guy would come over and play rugby for us for a term on an exchange, and we'd do the same. We'd send someone out on a gap year after they finished at school, and then they'd go and play rugby there. And he was over, and I didn't realise he was here. So we said, okay, let's go for a couple of beers, just catch up. And you know what? A couple of beers with the rugby guys. Like, we started at 7, we got back from Brighton at 7 in the morning, and I was playing cricket that day.
Yeah.
And I think I'd had 2 hours sleep. I was so ropey. Obviously, shouldn't be driving or anything like that. And I was like, Mum, you're going to have to take me to cricket because this is really bad. I shouldn't be on the road. And I felt awful, just felt really, really bad. Put it down to a hangover. And then I was supposed to play the next day, and I couldn't play. I just said, no, sorry guys, I really can't play. I still feel awful. 2-day hangover on a 12-hour session's probably fair, isn't it? It's what you deserve.
Sure.
And it was bank holiday weekend. I remember it's the first bank holiday of May 2013.
Yeah.
And on the Monday I woke up and I just felt exactly the same.
Yeah.
It was really rough, throat was painful. I thought, do you know what, 3 days, and I'm getting on. I was 27 at the time, but 3-day hangover is not a real thing really from that. And so I took myself out to hospital, and they said, oh, you've got laryngitis or something in their throat. Gave me some antibiotics. Go home, you'll be fine.
See how you feel.
So that was it. Did the antibiotics for 10 days. Went back and went, actually I feel the same. I still feel a bit run down, bit throaty. And they said, oh well, we'll give you some more antibiotics to see how this goes. Give you a different type. Maybe that'll knock it. And I think they said there was something slightly different in my throat. I can't. So
and you had no idea, but at this point you're just kind of going...
absolutely no idea.
Yeah, it's like a bit of a bad flu, something that's happening, lingering on. Yeah.
Literally just, there's an infection there, I don't know what it is. I thought it would be something like take your tonsils out, so there's something that's irritating you or something like that.
Yeah.
And so just kept on going back, and I just started a new job in Hayward Heath, and the walk is up a hill, like not a big hill. And then up 3 flights of stairs, and I'd get there and just be like, oh, I can't breathe, like really sweating a lot. And I'm thinking, I'm not that. I mean, I was.
How old were you?
So
this is 4 years ago, right?
Yeah,
to the day
27.
almost, like.
Yeah. And genuinely, I was thinking, I'm not in great nick, but not that bad. I can still play rugby, so I should be all right.
Yeah.
And I just kept on taking myself back, and each time I went back, there was like something slightly different. I had cellulitis in my scalp, so it's just a follicle irritation in my scalp. And what was going on now, so obviously hindsight's great, you know what's going on. What was going on was that my immune system was busy fighting the blood cancer, so I was picking up small infections around the body.
Okay.
But it was just localising around my head.
Yeah.
And what really broke it was I went in, and I laugh, but Mum is really still quite bitter about, well, not bitter, that's not the right word, but she's angry about it. So I didn't see my actual GP, it was a locum GP or someone else in the practice. And he kept on sort of not fobbing me off, but saying, oh, I think it's this, I think it's that. And the last one was, I think you might have hay fever.
That's you know, one hell of a hay fever.
You know, you have like a VO2 test.
Yeah.
And basically, it's for smokers, isn't it? It's just and I'd been complaining I couldn't breathe properly. And the VO2 test, off the top of my head, was something stupid, like 40 or 50 or something, and like normal person's well over 100.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, that should have really, alarm bell should have been ringing there. And I think he was saying, right, okay, do this for a couple of weeks and we'll get you in for a CT scan.
We'll
so it was kind of on, it was on the radar. Yeah. But I'd gone in and that was a Friday morning and he said, I think you've got hay fever. I'm like, well, I've lived in the country all my life.
Yeah, nothing's ever happened.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it can develop, but it's essentially hay fever is a pollen allergy, isn't it? A grass allergy, something like that. Yeah. So I was a bit like, come on, mate, that's not good.
Sure.
And then that afternoon, I'd had the week off work. Work would have been great about it. They said, if you're not well, just take this week off and come back when you know what's going on. And I bet he regrets that now. Came back a year later. But that afternoon, I was just sat at home, just watching TV, just chilling out, and just had this horrible pain on the side of my face. I thought, oh, that's not toothache. It's just nagging, and then sort of it gradually got worse. So I phoned up 111 or whatever the NHS service was, and they said, okay, fine, we'll try and fit you in at the time. It's too late for the GP now. I think it's about 4:30 on a Friday, so no one's going to be around then.
Sure.
And so I finally got an appointment just down the road from me. I think it was about midnight. It was certainly early hours of the morning, 11, 12, something like that. Late evening. And the chap just took one look at me and said, yeah, you've got 4 things wrong with you and I can't deal with it. So what had happened is a big lump had come out on the side of my face here, like golf ball, tennis ball, just huge. So you can see that's where my scar is. That no? Is it, that is
I
that
can
side?
see it. Yeah.
Should forget which side it is. So where the scar is.
That's Wolverine worthy scar.
That's when they got rid of it. So that was pressing up there. So I had that. I had a throat infection still. Yeah. I had an ear infection and cellulitis on my scalp. Fuck. And he literally just said, right, here you go. Here's some tablets. This will help you sleep. Get yourself into A&E tomorrow morning. So you can admit yourself into A&E now. Yeah. And he said, go and just say, I want you to do this. He gave me a note and everything. He said, went and did that. Yeah. And so that was it. Yeah. The next morning, went in. I was furious because it was the first Lions test. And there's no reception in A&E anywhere. So I was there thinking, I could have Sky Go and watch the rugby and it'd be all right, and nothing. So I was there lying on a bed shouting out to the staff. One of the healthcare guys is on a computer. I'm like, you need to give me live updates. This is a bad day. So yeah, I was in hospital for a few days. And
so when the doctor told you kind of there's all these things going wrong with you, did he mention the word cancer?
No. So
you're in your head, you're just going, there's something going wrong. I don't know what it is.
To be honest, I was quite not blasé about it. It was one of those things. I go to hospital, they'll say. I was just more concerned about the fact that I was in so much pain like that. It was just a savage headache. And I just wanted to have some sleep and just get better. That was it. I didn't think there was anything massively wrong until I went to Brighton, and then so that follows on. So I went into Hayward Heath. That's my local hospital, and they said, no, we can't deal with you. Ran all the tests. And then sent me down to Brighton, that's where the Royal County Hospital is. So sent me to the ear, nose and throat department there. So they fiddled about, did some stuff, ran some tests, say about hay fever. So the symptoms for blood cancers, or I think it's for all blood cancer, for most blood cancers, definitely lymphoma. Same symptoms as glandular fever, exactly the same. And often present in the same way.
So for someone watching this who maybe has no idea what those symptoms they're looking for, what are some of the symptoms that you're feeling? Or symptoms,
right? The main symptoms are fatigue and night sweats. They're the main ones. So I'm quite a hot sleeper anyway, so that made no difference to me. I just went, well, that's fine. That'll be pretty normal. And fatigue is fatigue, isn't it? I spent 2-3 years working in London, burning the candle at both ends. Your body collapses at some point, doesn't it? And you say, right, just chill out. So I just thought it was that, just an off run from London. And then obviously in blood cancer patients, you then usually present a lump somewhere, something.
So that was the thing on the throat.
And so certainly with lymphoma, not maybe not so much with leukemia, but lymphoma, because it's in your lymph nodes. That's what happens. They tend to be enlarged and swollen.
Okay, so you're in the hospital. And so at this point, have they done the blood test? Have they
Yeah, they'd run literally every test they
Yeah,
could,
yeah.
and they'd stuck cameras down my throat, down my nose,
Yeah.
the works,
Yeah.
because obviously I couldn't
Sure.
breathe, so they wanted to know what was going on. And then when I thought it was getting really serious, it was the doctor came in and said, right, okay, so we're going to run one more test. If that doesn't come back, then we need to run a couple of tests for lymphoma. And I'd never heard of lymphoma, so
Yeah.
I imagine most people have heard of leukemia.
Yeah, I've heard.
Because
Yeah, because there's 3 types of blood cancers.
Yep.
But I've only heard of leukemia.
Yeah, so they're normally the ones that
Yeah.
people have heard of. And so when he said lymphoma, I was like, oh, okay, fine. So there you go, Dr. Google. What's this? Okay, this is pretty serious then. And then obviously
Yeah.
your mind goes overdrive. You're sat in the bed. I've been sat in the bed for 3 days.
Okay.
And so they ran all the tests, and this was a Sunday when they told me this. The Monday morning, the guys had come around with breakfast. I was just getting ready. Cup of tea in hand, as you do. Good Brit.
Drink tea and carry on.
So just get that cup of tea.
Yeah.
And
nothing a cup of tea can't solve. Yeah.
Just about to have a sip, and the consultant came in and said, "Have you had anything to eat yet?" No. He said, "Have you had anything?" I was just about to have a cup of tea. He said, "No, don't. You're first in theatre this morning." So when someone comes in and says that, you know it's serious.
Wow.
You don't jump the queue.
But they still hadn't said you have.
No, still nothing.
Okay. So what goes through your mind when that?
I was literally losing. I was like, right, okay, this is pretty. I just said, well, that's going to be lymphoma then.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
no one comes in. Like I don't. Certainly not now that I have the experience that I have in hospitals.
Yeah.
But I presume doctors that rarely come in and say you are the first in the queue when you've only been in there for
Sure.
a day and a half.
Sure.
That rarely happens
Okay.
unless it's very serious.
Got it.
And so I think that's what was going on.
Got it. All right. Okay. So did they operate on you? Or did
Yeah,
they,
so literally went into theatre. They
Yeah.
they extracted that lymph
Yeah.
node.
Yeah.
So what had happened, why I couldn't breathe properly, is because the lymph node had gone rogue and mutated.
Wow.
And just exploded pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And was pressing against my windpipe.
Yeah.
So I think my oxygen levels at the time were in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think it was about 84, 85. So not dangerously low, but normal person's
Out of how much? I mean,
percent.
percent. Okay.
Yeah. So a normal person's, if you're below 97, you probably be thinking maybe I need to do some fitness.
Who was the first person you called when? So did you have time between the moment he said you were the first in?
No, literally,
No. Right,
that was
okay.
it. It was
Yeah. And you come out of that?
Yeah, so came out of that. Had some morphine. It's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a drug. Yeah. Like
Don't
that.
do morphine, kids.
Yeah, no, don't. Seriously. But yeah, it was. So yeah, I had that. I was really spaced out for a while.
Yeah.
And then Mum was with me. She was
Yeah.
great. She came down, saw
Okay.
me that evening.
Cool.
And then they got rid of me. So that was I think I only stayed in a day or so after.
And so did they tell you, okay, so this is what you have?
No. So they were just like, right, we're going to send this off for biopsy.
Got it.
and
Got it.
We'll come back to you in 10
Sure.
days. And
We're not sure yet.
Yeah,
but
we're
it
not
might
sure
be...
yet. This is what it might be, but
Yeah.
this will definitely help you breathing because
Okay.
that's what was going on.
So that must in some way completely change like the way you see things or how you're like, because you're thrown a kind of a left curve here that you just didn't expect.
Yeah.
Are you thinking when you go back home like, oh yeah, this is maybe cancer, or actually no, it's going to be okay?
I went back and I was like, I think this is probably lymphoma, but I don't think I realised what the implications of that would be. I was
Okay.
like, okay, this is probably what it is.
Yeah.
But you never really, you hear about chemo and
Yeah.
you see it and
Yeah.
you know about cancer and through November,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how we met.
Sure.
You know about these things, but you're not quite sure until you start it and it's
Yeah.
you exactly what that
Yeah.
means. So I think I just went back and the doctor said, look, you've got 10 days. If it is this, go and have some fun.
Yeah.
And it was my best friend's sister's wedding that weekend coming up. So I was like, well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Sign the summer off and start just get
Yeah.
mental.
And you did.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, so it was quite actually I've had 2 biopsies. So they extracted that one and I had another one there. You can't
Okay.
quite
Yeah,
see it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just they've
Yeah,
done
yeah,
really
yeah.
well. It's just in the crease
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
neck. And with that one, it's quite easy. They just slip it open and then obviously you just
Yeah.
have normal stitches and
Sure.
then it goes. But because obviously they've sliced open my face, they stapled me up like Frankenstein. It was incredible.
Wow.
So I get the photos for you, but literally, I think it was something like 12 staples, and I mean like thick staples.
Yeah.
And it was so I was walking around like that. And
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah.
I had them taken out just before the wedding.
Okay.
So I was still looking. I mean, I was going to say handsome, but that's.
So how much were you weighing then?
Oh, good question. I think when I went into hospital and they weighed me, I was about 104, 105 kilos.
Okay, 104, 105 kilos. And then the results come back, you have cancer.
Yeah.
And chemo starts.
Yep.
This is June 2013?
Yeah, this is July now.
July, okay.
Beginning of July,
yeah.
I should remember.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Emma, if you're watching this, I think your anniversary is the 5th of July. It's either the 4th or the 5th, one of those. No, it's the 4th, that's right, because the 6th I was in hospital.
Yeah, okay.
Or is
cool.
it, whatever.
And so where were you when you found out that you had cancer?
So I had to go back and see the consultant who operated on me and have a meeting with him. Yeah. And my parents came along. They wanted to come. Sure. I didn't really need them to be there. Maybe that's unfair. Yeah. But they wanted to, and I thought, well, do you know what? If you want to, if it's important to you, why not? It's no skin off my nose. And it was an incredible moment, really, because the consultant said to me, right, I'm sorry to be the guy that has to tell you this, but you do have lymphoma. Okay. And so I was like, right, okay. And in my head, straight away, it was, what's next? What's going to happen?
Sure, like what are the steps?
What goes on? My parents didn't hear a thing after that. Not a thing. Yeah. They literally, all they heard was
cancer.
Our son has cancer.
Yeah.
And that's it. But that's normal. I mean, that is
one of the most resonating stories that I heard from, working at November when you were speaking with people who were told they had testicular cancer, prostate cancer. Once they heard the word cancer, it was like everything after that was blank. Yeah. And that's often they usually it's the other way around. They say make sure to come with someone so they can pay attention to what the physician says.
It's completely. I was like, right, what's going to happen? What's next? And he went through everything. He said, right, you're going to go through 6 stages of this. Yeah. You're going to come back and do. I literally just went out through the whole thing and said, this will change once we know exactly what type of lymphoma you have, but this is the general plan. This is what goes on. Got it. And so I left thinking, right, fine. Yeah. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, far out. And so you started chemo, and so I met you, October, November that year? Yeah. So just a few months after, and you were a very different body shape than you are today.
Yeah. So one of the things with chemotherapy treatment is that you have you take steroids for it. So not the good steroids, kids. The bad stuff that makes you retain water and basically helps the body fight whatever's going on inside.
That's interesting.
So essentially, chemo is a poison and it kills everything in there, and and you can target particular cells, but essentially it will kill everything that's inside. It targets proteins. That's if you really want to know. That's what the chemo does. And I think because I was a big lad, they do it in square meterage, so that's what they give you. They give you a pulse of steroids, and unfortunately, the type of treatment I had to have weekly pulses. So you take 5 days on, 2 days off, 5 days on, 2 days off, and I think by the end I was on about something like 130 milligrams, which is quite big. Yeah. And it's then a vicious cycle because you start at 105. And then you take these steroids, you put on weight because you're retaining all this stuff. And also it gives you an appetite like nobody's business. I mean, I eat well anyway. Yeah. I didn't need an excuse to eat more. Yeah. And so the next time you go in, you maybe weigh 110. So then they have to give you your dosage on 110, not 105.
Right, so it's like proportional every time.
It's got to be each time. Each time they weigh you, and then that's it. They make it up specific because they then give you the chemo on that basis as well. So
tell us, like, for someone who has no idea what the physical sensation of getting chemo, like, did you feel it come in your body? I mean, this is a general question that I have. Did you feel like something changing, or?
You have different types. Obviously, you've got your intravenous stuff. Yeah. You have intrathecal stuff, that's an injection into your spine. I'll talk about that again in a second. And then obviously you have tablets as well. Yeah. So the intravenous stuff, depending on the temperature of the liquid that they put into you can definitely feel it. So that's where it all went in there. Yeah. Tiny little scar. So I had a semi-permanent cannula that went in there, and it sits just above your heart. Yeah. So obviously when your heart beats, it pumps it. Wow. Pumps it around the body. Yeah. And so you can feel it going in around the site because it's quite cold usually. Yeah. But apart from that, you take antiemetics, anti-sickness drugs. Okay. So you're fine. Yeah. And they'll dose you up highly on that. I had one bad experience, and that's just because I didn't tell them that I felt unwell, and they sorted out the dosage for my antiemetics, and I was fine.
Yeah. Okay. And so you started losing your hair at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that? How was that? Like the sort of the experience of putting your, I don't know, did you put your hand?
No,
through your
no.
hand and
So
pull it
basically,
out,
yeah, it was.
I'm imagining some dramatic.
No, not at all. It was. I knew it would happen because there's a cocktail of drugs when you use them together. I'm trying to think. One of them's vincristine, and the other one I can't remember off the top of my head, but no one cares. Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to look this up. Together, they'll make you lose your hair.
Yeah.
So the vincristine one's pretty savage. It also makes you get slight neuropathy, so you lose sensation in your fingers and toes. So it really, really hits your system, and that basically shocks it, and everything starts falling out. And when I knew that was going to happen, I just shaved my head down to maybe a 3 or a 4.
Okay.
And then was just waiting for it. I just knew it was going to come. Yeah. And then little bits start falling out on your pillow. Yeah. And then as soon as that happened, I just shaved the whole thing off and then said, right, the follicles will fall out when they want.
Yeah. And is this, so this is going to sound like a really uneducated question, I guess, but does it just affect your hair, or does it affect your beard, your eyebrows, everything? Yeah.
So by the end, it's obviously goes in stages, and then you will go from your head first because that's obviously the thickest part. Yeah. And no, I lost literally every hair on my body apart from my eyebrows.
Yeah. Like a 4-year-old boy again.
Yeah. Oh, incredible. Very, very good for maintenance.
So work were kind of being supportive about this process, giving you some time off. You needed to get.
Well, yeah. Essentially, what happened with work was they gave me that week off beforehand, and then I said, right, well, I'm not going to be in, so you let me know what's going to go on. And I'd only just started there, so I was in my probation period, and they could have got rid of me. And fortunately, I worked for a small company, so for them it worked out all right because you get statutory sick pay, and they just kept my job open for me when I came back, and then we said, right, we'll reevaluate it when I get back. Sure. So there's only 6 of us in the team. Yeah. And fortunately, they kept that open for me.
So I know that you're one of these people that I've come across that you like this very warm, jovial, happy kind of character. But I'm guessing there must have been moments on this journey where it must have been really low, and you must have felt like shit. What were some of those moments, and how did you manage to deal with those? Or
I think the thing that really got me through it is I've got a really dark sense of humour, really, really dark, and that for me just killed any sense of negativity. Really, I think the really bad times are at night, and that's the same for anyone who has any kind of thing wrong with them, whether it's mental, physical, whatever. It's at night when you sit down by yourself and you're alone. And I was really fortunate that I think it was something silly, like the first 80 days I was in hospital, I had a different visitor every day. Yeah. So people from school, people from uni, people from my rugby club, people from law school and I went to, like, just phenomenal support. And I can never pay them back for that. Sure. I'm so grateful because you just see different people, have different conversations, take your mind off it. Sure. And, but yeah, those moments you just sit at night and you just take yourself out of it. Yeah. I think one of the worst nights I had, which was nothing to do with me, it wasn't me feeling unwell, it was one of the patients next to me was having a bad turn. It was sort of like screaming stuff like, oh, I'm so painful, I just want to die, just let me die, like stuff like that. And you think, shit, I need to get out of here. Yeah. And so I just take myself out of the situation, just go for a walk around the ward, just go out, ring my brother. He got quite a lot of 6 o'clock in the morning phone calls. Yeah. Fortunately, he's young kids, so he was awake, but no, he was phenomenal as well. Always on the phone, and it's something that we never really talk about, but it must have been really difficult for him living in France. Yeah. He wasn't there. But when I was diagnosed, he was the first person I called. So my parents were with me. I then left the hospital. I'm from Brighton, and I know the place really well. I love it. It's just a phenomenal place. And I wanted to walk down and go and walk around the pier and just have a look out into the sea and just have a few moments to myself, take it all in. I get that. And I phoned my brother, who's the first person, and he was a professional rugby player.
Yeah. By the way, hi Ben, if you're watching this.
And the club were great. They just said, right, you go. If you need to go home, you go home. And then so forgive me, I can't remember the days, but he literally turned up a couple of days later and had the week with us. Oh, yeah, I remember because that's how we kind of met. We met also through your brother. And I remember like that was the thing that really struck about me is that you had such this great sense of humor, and you kept on telling me this is not how I normally look. Yeah. It's like you were 135 kilos. Yeah. By the time you kind of finished chemo. And it was just because I only knew like that. Yeah, right? Of course. That's how I only met you, and you were like this really positive guy, really kind of like making jokes about the whole process. You were telling me these stories about hospital, about all this stuff, and
And the reason why we sort of got to sit down today, amongst other things, but you posted a photo on Facebook, like, I don't know when it was, maybe last year, and it was a before and after photo.
Yeah. No, I think was that early? Yeah, it was the end of last year, November time last year.
Something like that, 2016.
Something like that, yeah.
And I was blown away. I could not believe the photo that I was seeing. And I got on the phone with you, and I called you, and I was like, mate, what's happened? And this is like, I would like to focus a little bit on this part of the journey, which is, how did you go from weighing 135 kilos, coming out as a cancer survivor, to working with Jerome at Project Performance? And this morning, I think you said you weighed yourself, you're about
87.
Sorry,
87.
87
kilos on the nose.
You were 135, that's like 47 kilos, something like that?
Yeah.
That you've lost?
48.
You basically lost the equivalent of a small child, or a really petite girl.
A massive dumbbell.
Or a massive dumbbell in terms of weight. But the question I have, actually, before I jump into that, body image.
Yeah.
So you look at yourself in the mirror, and the man that you see is not the man that you used to see.
Do you know what? It's a weird one, because I look back at, I showed you a photo before we started this interview, and looking at the photo of me when I started, genuinely, I don't remember looking like that. Because
I've got it here, actually.
Well, this is what I look like. Yeah. So I see, you can still see it kind of looks like me.
So that's how I met you.
Yeah.
So I remember you like that. So when I see you like this, I'm like, who are you?
Really
it's like, what have you done with Seb?
So this is how much I weighed when I left school. I'm in much better shape because I've been training harder and doing all my stuff with Jerome. But I weighed circa 14 stone, so 87, 88 kilos when I left school. And just, you get into the boozing circuit in London and do that, put on a bit of weight, become comfortable. Obviously that's extreme, but I mean, this is pretty much what I always look like. So I look back at those photos and go, I don't really remember that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because people.
But do you remember how it felt? Like, do you remember, was there any?
To be honest with you,
did your humour get you through like the body shame? I want to say, that kind of stuff.
I don't think there really was. To be honest with you, when I first came out, it wasn't really a body shaming thing, and it was like, oh, shit, I've got to buy a new wardrobe. It was just like kind of, you need to get new clothes and stuff like that. And then I think the only time it ever really bothered me was kind of you start going to events. You start going to like dinners, you start going to weddings, and you're a big bloke and you meet people, and I was single at the time, and you meet people and you're like, well, actually they don't want to talk to you because you're just a big fat mess. Yeah. And then, but it was a journey for me because I'd spent so long in hospital looking at the Performance Project online. Because,
really?
Yeah, so at the time it was 3 guys, Jerome, Nick and Harry, and Nick's brother I used to play rugby with when I was younger. And so I kind of looked at it, and a load of the guys that used them were mates of mine from Hayward Heath area who I knew. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. And there was, he's actually my barber now. There's a guy who used to cut my hair when I was like 16, and then he set up his own shop, and then we sort of fell out of touch. And then I sort of saw him, and I was like, oh my God. And he did the same sort of thing, but obviously didn't have cancer, but he put on a load of weight. It's not a weight loss tip. Don't get cancer.
Project Performance, yeah.
It's, but yeah, so he lost 7 stone, and I was thinking, wow, that's incredible. So I sat there going, that's going to be me, I can do that. Yeah. But I don't think I ever particularly, it was really only around like the situations where meeting women and meeting new people, where you go, oh, actually, are they judging me? Are they looking at this?
Because it's a shell almost. It's like you're the same person, you're still that funny guy. It's just the shell that...
My girlfriend goes mad at me now, so now I've been seeing a girl for a few months now. And I'm not saying the date. I know you're watching. So I'll just say a few months. Yeah. But it goes on nicely from what you were saying about that picture that you saw in November. And that's one of the ones. So we both live in the Hayward Heath area, and she'd seen that picture online and gone, "Wow, that's incredible!" Like, and that's kind of, she knew we've got mutual friends. And that's how we ended up getting together. Yeah. But she always says, "Oh, if I'd known you at the time," and I was like, "Yeah, maybe, but you probably wouldn't have looked at me the same way. You would." Yeah. I'm sure. I was the same person underneath, and I understand the point that she's making. But that's really it. You meet people and you're like, you can be a nice guy, but you're still 130, 135 kilos. Yeah. And people will look at you and go, what's that? Isn't that when you tell a story, it's fine. You can say it. You can say, right, I'm this big. But how many people give you that chance to say, I'm this big because I had 10 months of inpatient chemo and loads of steroids. I've now got 2 years left.
So where are you on the You have to go back every 6 months, or?
I'm back every 3 at the moment, so I'm drug-free since March last year. That was
amazing.
My last. Yeah, that was great. That was a really good feeling. So, how the treatment worked, I was inpatient for 10 months, and then that was you basically had everything. I was in twice for like 35 days, 40 days, and then it was like week on, week off, week on, week off. And then you do 2 years of maintenance, which is tablets and intravenous every 3 months and intrathecal every 3 months. So I said I'd go back to that, and I never did. But intrathecal essentially is they stick a feeder into your spine and then go in between your vertebrae so that you can get it into the nervous system.
Okay.
So the chemo will go everywhere, but when it's quite low dose, it won't go into your nervous system.
Okay.
And it's important that you have blood that goes into that as
Sure.
well, so it's important that you get that. And so I had them as well.
Yeah.
And that was for 2 years.
Yeah.
And so that finished last March. Done.
Wow.
And
amazing.
now, going. I think my next checkup is in June, I think. Okay. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, middle of June.
Okay.
Be fine.
So, coming to the sort of towards the end of the interview. So how did you get from, you used to struggle to walk 500 meters to go to the shop, to going and basically, I hate to use the word term, like beast mode. The gym.
You don't know how much that makes me laugh. Beast mode. God.
And then go in the gym and lose effectively, the small child worth of weight. How was the first, take us back to that start of the journey, because a lot of people watching this and hearing this, listening to this, and me included, I'll be honest, it's like finding that motivation to get off the couch, to stop like emotionally eating almost kind of like your feelings and get to a place where you can either go to the gym, go to the park, whatever it is, and find that motivation. What was that little fire that helped you to get started?
I think genuinely, so I started with Jerome literally the week I came out of hospital. Mm-hmm. I think it was 2 days after I came out, or the day after, I went and had a meeting with him, and we took those photos and went, right, this is what we're going to do. And then I think I started training maybe 2-3 weeks later. Yeah. And I was doing 4 sessions a week, and that was too much. I was really, really unwell, like throwing up after every session. But it's just because I was pushing myself, but not even pushing myself. It would be like you do an exercise, and we were doing like body weight squats or maybe 20 kilo squats, and then I'd have to lie down afterwards. And it's all about just having that end goal. It's how much do you want your own independence? How much do you want to be able to get out of bed and do your own thing? And you've got to want to do it for yourself. Sure, I get that. Yeah. But it's finding your own motivation. I don't think there's not a magic cure.
Love that.
It takes time. And I've not done anything magical at all. I've not done some special training program. Sorry, it is a good training program. We laugh about this all the time. So there's it's the joke is all about, people look at you and go, all they really care about is if you've got a decent chest, like good guns, that sort of stuff. Yeah. And we got a good photo of me doing a bicep curl. And it's like, that's the secret. Just do bicep curls all day. There is no secret. You need to go. I needed to go and see a professional guy to get me in the gym every day, or however many times I needed to, and that was Jerome. And we've mixed up our plan and done loads of things, found things that I enjoy. And you just have to start enjoying life. You just have to start saying, right, what's important?
Train to live as opposed to live to train.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it was all, we haven't done the stats completely, but I think in the last 3 years since I've been training with him, I've gone to something like 25 weddings, probably half a dozen to a dozen stag do's. I'm a social guy. I like going out on the beers. I love food. I'll eat out at least once a month. Yeah. Just keeping that there in case my partner says anything. Maybe once, maybe more. But so I've not taken anything out of my diet. I've not taken, obviously I'm eating a lot better.
So what have you done differently then?
I think I've just cared. I've just tracked what I'm doing. So I count calories, and people think that's nausea, but you've got to do it. You have to.
So how do you do it? Do you have it like an app?
Yeah,
like MyFitnessPal.
Yeah, MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It's MyFitnessPal. Just track it all in there. Jerome tells me how much I'm allowed to eat, what macros I should hit, and then
you try and keep within that.
I try and keep to it. Yeah. And he's flexible. He knows that I have a flexible life, and he can, and that's why we've got on so well, and that's why we've got these results. Because he understands that I'm not going to be one of these guys that does a 12-week transformation because I want to have a life as well. I love going to the gym. I really enjoy it. I love it. Yeah. But I also love food more. And I like being able to go out, and I like to be able to say to my girlfriend, right, let's go for dinner.
Isn't that interesting though? The whole thing that you sort of like, the 12-week transformational this stuff, as opposed to seeing as like a lifelong, lifestyle change effectively, and just making it part of your routine to exercise, to move your body, to eat. So you said when you look back, you don't recognize yourself, but when you look at yourself now,
Yeah.
what are you proud of?
So I sent that photo to my girlfriend this morning, and she said, you know, she always says that you should be so proud.
Yeah.
And I don't think I feel pride in it. It's not a pride thing. I like it.
Yeah.
You know, I like training. I like being healthy.
Yeah.
I like the fact that I'm not dying anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never thought I was going to die, and that's a really important thing that I should have said earlier when we were talking about the treatment stuff. I never thought I was going to die. I just thought, what have I got to do
to get
better?
Yeah.
But you realise you are at that pit. When I went into remission quite quickly, I was really lucky. It was 4 months, so shortly after I met you, I went into remission.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky, but then the treatment got really bad. And then you think, God, is this worth it? Like, this is so savage. And I think it just makes you happy. You're like, it is a really cheesy, corny thing, and the fitness industry are buzzing this at the moment. It's getting endorphins running around the body, but that's the reality. That's it. You know, we're all chemical and components, aren't we? And it's what goes around the body and the brain.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. Just find something that makes you happy.
Yeah, and you ran a half marathon in Brighton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Run that. That was something I never thought I'd do.
Sponsored.
Thank you very much. I do remember. But thank you.
I was about to go, shit, did I sponsor it? This is going to go
No,
awkward.
you did. Don't worry, I've got a text message to prove it. But no, I did that. That was quite funny, actually. A good friend of mine, Ash, was running for cancer research for both me and a friend of ours who sadly has passed away now, who had cancer, and she ran it for cancer research, and it was, you know, a really good thing. We went down, and she was running the Brighton 10K on the Brighton Marathon Day, and I know Chris, her boyfriend, really well as well, and Chris and I were just like, oh, this is rubbish. I don't even need to train for it. I don't even know why you bother doing this. And I would say whatever I say behind someone's back, I'll say to their face.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's unfair. I'll tell her when she stops. And so I did. And she went, all right, then fine. You sign up to something then. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did the Bright 10, which is a 10-mile run, which is essentially the same route along Brighton Seafront.
Yeah.
And then I just said to Ash and Chris, look, we've done this.
Let's do it.
It's only 3 miles more. Why don't we do it? It's not that much more training. And then we did it. That was it.
Yeah. So what's next? You know, because now that you're back in, I mean, is this the best shape you've ever been?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I've got a little six-pack creeping through.
Yeah.
Almost there. There.
Which is what all your mates just care about.
Yeah, that's it. Like every time
your thighs are just ridiculous, by the way. You put pictures of you, it's just like all thighs. And then
well, I put a picture up recently, and one of my mates commented on it. He's like, "Look, can we just address the elephant in the room here? Do you actually have a six-pack?" Like, not quite. I have a 4-pack, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But I just keep on going. My target at the moment is to get to 13 stone, so 182 pounds. So that's another 10 pounds to go.
Yeah.
And if it takes me another 6 weeks, hopefully it won't, Jerome. But if it takes me 6 weeks, it takes me 6 weeks. If I do it in 2 weeks, I do it in 2 weeks. It's one of those things that I'm really happy where I'm at, and you know, things are going well.
Am I right in saying that you're writing a book?
I am, yeah. So I really need to finish it.
So you're on the spot now.
Yeah,
it's public.
Is it. No. I've said it before, and you know, I'm not hiding away from it. It's genuinely now just finding the time just to do it.
Yeah.
And I've done 3 chapters out of it, and I haven't left hospital yet. So there's still so much to go. There's so much to tell, so many stories to tell.
I get that.
And then also just fine tuning that. And then I suppose the next thing, as well as just chatting to Steph this week, and she was saying, you know, you should do a blog when you get to the all clear bit. Just start talking about lifestyle and fitness, and that, you know, maybe I'll do something like that. It sounds quite interesting.
I mean, you can start already with like your Instagram account.
Yeah. I mean, Instagram.
Yeah.
SProBro23.
There you
it
go.
out. It's really not that interesting.
All the show notes, all the links.
It's basically just me and food.
So just before we get to the last questions, I just want to I want to take a moment to genuinely acknowledge you for an incredible journey. Like every single time I've seen your pictures, I've reached out to you. I gave a call. I don't even remember. I had a little bit of meltdown a couple of weeks ago. I was like, Seb, I'm a lazy fuck. I'm not getting out of the couch. I'm not exercising. All this stuff. But just, you've always had this smile. And I remember like you in 2013, when you were going through cancer, when you're going through chemotherapy, and you still kept this really positive outlook, and you talk about this dark sense of humor, but really, I've seen that throughout. And you, even now today, it's interesting. I was curious to hear if you had dark moments, and I'm sure maybe there were low moments, but this hunger for life that you have is just contagious. And I just want to say thanks for that, because I know that it's going to speak to a lot of people.
I hope so.
And I hope that you could continue inspiring people with your transformation, with your Instagram. Was it Seb at Seb?
It's SProBro23.
SProBro23.
Just tag it.
And phenomenal work from Project Performance.
Performance Project. No, you said it's all.
I'm dyslexic, mate.
Don't worry.
Why did you should have go? Yeah,
it's fine. We'll tag them as well.
We'll change it. Here's a few questions.
Yeah.
Someone who's currently going through cancer. What message would you like to tell them?
Don't go through it alone. I know I said about when you go to sleep at night and you're by yourself, that is the worst part. And there is always someone there. Talk to someone. If it's the nurses, just get, it's something that I'm really, really lucky that my family is quite close. And so my mum sat by my bedside pretty much every single day. In fact, the only time she wasn't by my bed was when my youngest niece was born, and then my brother and I forced her to go. She said, no, I don't want to go. You'll only have that once. Yeah. I will still be here when you get back. Yeah. I'm only going to be sitting here being poisoned for another 5 days. It's fine. Yeah. And that's phenomenal. My brother was there. Just whenever he could be, he would come over. He brought my niece as soon as she could fly. Yeah. She came over, yeah. and I met her, and that was an amazing moment. And he was always on the phone. My sister-in-law the same, sending me photos of the girls. Just generally, I'm so lucky with that. And then my friends, as I've said before, just reach out to people. Don't do it alone. Don't hide in yourself. And it's kind of like you just want to touch on it. And I don't want to sound like I'm belittling it, because I'm not in any way. But it can become like a depression, like a very mental thing, and that is really serious. And obviously, that's another completely other topic in another interview. Sure. But that is something that people who do have those illnesses tend to go through alone, and that is what the problem is. And so what I would say is, if you are going through treatment, just reach out to anyone. It's that old thing, make that call, say that thing to that one person, and they'll be there for you. Yeah, I so resonate with that. And I think a lot of people who watch this and listen to this, some of them might be going on their entrepreneurial journeys or trying to start something, and it can feel really lonely. And I think that's one of the strongest messages, like just connect with people, Exactly. If you're going through something, just reach out. What's one thing most people don't know about you? One thing that most people don't know about me. How personal do you want to go?
Hey, this is your. You get to answer.
What you want, like the weirdest thing about me?
Well, they could be like just something that it could be. So some people might say, well, actually, I feel really alone. Some people might say, I used to be a competitive swimmer. Yeah.
Right. So just something. Okay. Yeah. If you would say, I was a really, really good choral singer when I was younger. I was head chorister at school. There you go. I was the first person in Sussex for 25 years to get the top marks in the highest exam you can do. Yeah. So there you go. That's the one thing.
What's the song that you used to sing?
Oh, God, with too many. Loads.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're going to give us a little song?
Absolutely not. Unfortunately, my voice broken now. Yeah. I just tell jokes.
If you could get a massive digital sign on Piccadilly Circus, and you could put one message on there that everyone in London would see when they're walking around, what would you want that message to read?
Laugh. Just laugh, and then some stupid picture underneath it. Because there is nothing better than laughing. And it's like I said to you, that's my sixth sense of humour about everything. Yeah. Everything. I'll tell you just this is the kind of humour that I talk about. So one of the nurses came in. So one day is a particularly bad day. I couldn't be able to get out of bed. And there's a lady used to come around and massage lower limbs for the cancer patients. Phenomenal. Yeah. Really, really lovely lady. And then my mum came in and she cut my toenails because I had my feet done. She said, "Oh, you can't reach, and you shouldn't. You've got to be careful because you don't want to cut yourself or anything for infection." So she cut my toenails. And a nurse came in and my mum bought me a coffee as well and said, "Oh, look at you, coffee and massage, all this. Can we swap places?" And I just said to her, yeah, sure. Do you want my cancer as well? And you just have to laugh. You go, and she just leaves like, oh my God, what am I dealing with? Who is this guy? And you know, you just take things away. You just laugh. You just have fun. You know, life is sad and shit as it is without having anything wrong with you.
Yeah.
Just look at something and go, right, I'm gonna have bad days, fine, but then just laugh at it. There should never be a taboo. There should never be a taboo.
Love that. What does being unconventional mean to you?
Being unconventional. It just means being yourself. Everyone wants to be unique, don't they? But we all end up following the crowd. We all end up wearing Beatles t-shirts and skinny jeans.
Yeah, nice shirt, by the way, Seb.
Yeah, it's all right, isn't it? All you need is love.
Yeah.
But it should have laughter. It should have laughter.
All you need is laugh.
Yeah. And it's just being unconventional. It's going out there and realising that doing stuff for yourself isn't selfish. It actually helps other people. And people really, and I have a big thing about that, you know. My brother and my mum wind me up and say, oh yeah, you know, you got a bit of an ego, you're a bit arrogant. And I always say, no, I don't. But that's part of me just trying to go, right, this is me. And if that helps, you know, I've never really, I struggle a little bit when people say, oh, you're inspiring. I really do, and that's not, I'm not just saying that. And I understand why people say it, and I understand it is inspirational that I've lost a load of weight and I've overcome blood cancer and I'm, you know, back on track and I'm still only 31. It's quite a young age to go through it. But really, like if just one person going through what I've gone through just goes, oh yeah, great, then that's fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can get away with that arrogance.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's arrogance and there's also, you know, what I want to sort of invite you to is it may be uncomfortable to have the label of inspiration, but actually maybe it's not about you. It's about what that impact has on other people. Yeah. So whether how you feel about it is uncomfortable, know that by people being inspired by you, you're changing, you know, their lives and you're helping them. And so, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for inviting me on.
Cheers.
Good to see you. Cheers.